It's finally happened. The BC Conservatives are leading in the polls for the first time in over 50 years. The last Conservative government in BC was in 1952. Now, the origin of the BC Conservatives goes back 121 years, back to 1903 when the party was conceived. Since then, there's been 3 Conservative premiers of BC: Richard McBride, William John Bowser, and Simon Fraser Tolmie. That's it. There's been 3 Conservative leaders in the last 121 years. Now, if we look at who's been in power in BC for the last 121 years, there's been a bunch of different parties. The Liberals have been in power for a while. So is a Socialist Party, which you see here in green, and the NDP more recently. But if you look at the recent polling numbers, it is absolutely catastrophic for the NDP. Lowbridge. You can see that David Eby's numbers are absolutely plummeting and falling off a cliff, and John Rustad, the Conservative BC leader, is going almost straight up in the polls, almost vertical, that he has passed him now. A side note, how nice is this? The beaver pond, this is a big one. Look at this. Absolutely beautiful. I bet Justin Trudeau is not happy with this because his lapdog, David Eby, is projected to not be in power come October 24th, 2024, which is the election here in BC. Now, if we look at the polling numbers, just going back a month and a half to March, the BC NDP, David Eby, was 17 points ahead of the Conservatives. The Conservatives have been climbing since mid-2023. But it's just gone nuclear straight up. In the past 6 weeks, Eby has tanked. He's now 4 points behind the Conservatives. The Conservatives lead by 4 points now. Now, the obvious question one might ask is, how'd this happen? Why did this happen? Well, it's a few things. First, David Eby is the guy who brought in the safe supply, which has been wildly popular by everyone. That's sarcastic. You've got nurses in hospitals having to deal with people doing their hard candy right next to patients who shouldn't be around that stuff, including the nurses themselves. You've got addicts doing hard candy in playgrounds. You've got addicts doing hard candy on buses. I shared a story just a few days ago on the main channel how a friend told me in a local town here that a local bus driver here had to pull over because someone was vaping some hard candy in the back of the bus, and the air intake blew that smoke right into the bus driver's face while circulating the air, and the bus driver had to go to the hospital. It's bonehead policies like this that will lose support of the people, and that's exactly what's happened. What's even worse now for David Eby is he's called up Trudeau and said, hey, this safe supply thing was a bad idea. We're 1 year into this test pilot project. We got to reverse it. We got to turn around. Can you please recriminalize all the hard candy? And Trudeau's like, nah, we're just going to keep trying this out and see how much we can destroy Canada. Currently, we have 6 people per day that are overdosing and perishing because of this, because Trudeau won't, with a flick of the wrist, sign some papers and recriminalize what has been illegal for forever. This one policy alone will continue to haunt Eby until that gets flipped around. This is a slippery slope that Eby can't recover from. This is beautiful. Just take 5 seconds just to soak this in. This is like 10 minutes from where I live, and I've never seen this place. In 8 years, I didn't know this was here. We got an article here on the Counter Signal that has got a tweet from John Rustad from over a year ago, back in February 2023. It says, NDP motion today supports V-word mandates and condemns the freedom convoys. Let me be crystal clear. 7,000 healthcare workers were fired or quit because of mandates and were disrespected. Unlike the BC Liberals, I do not support continued mandates, and I do support the truckers. This common sense does have some factor in this, but there's other factors aside from the safe supply. There's the transgender issue. We've got males dominating women's sports, which is absolutely ridiculous. Biological males will always have a physical dominance in sports over women. That's why they should not compete together. This is common sense. Women are designed to create babies. Men are designed to protect the women who are creating and raising those babies. This is our biology. This should not be mixed up in sports, and people are standing up against this now, whether you have the swimmers dominating, running, any sort of lifting competitions. It's ridiculous to have men competing against women. Even if they identify as a woman, that's fine, but they should not be able to compete against women. That is ridiculous. For the same reason, you never have a biological woman who identifies as a man then tries to compete against men. They're going to get crushed. They know that there's a biological advantage. That's why there's never been a story about that ever. It says here, a new report from McDonald Lawyer Institute suggests Canadians predominantly hold anti-woke positions on transgender topics and significantly oppose the radical trans activist stances that the majority of politicians currently espouse. Despite gender ideology claiming that gender identity has nothing to do with biological sex, the nationwide public opinion poll showed that a mere 15% of respondents believed that there's no such thing as biological sex, only gender preference. So basically 85% of people think that the biology is there, it does matter. The numbers speak for themselves. Another thing to consider, the EV grants program that was supposed to help EV startup companies like Edison Motors that blew up, was it a month and a half, 2 months ago, that really took off. The video I made on that topic is the second most viewed video on my channel. It got over 260,000 views. You have to imagine that with all these different creators, myself, Edison Motors, and all the other ones on TikTok and YouTube, etc. If you look at when that happened with the numbers, the timing of that does correlate when the graph started to drastically switch. But I think the safe supply thing is really the major contributing factor. People are tired of walking out of the grocery store and smelling hard candy air and then having to gasp and trying to breathe it out, and it's just gross. It's stupid. This should not happen. On a previous video, I ranted about this. I think we should rehabilitate these people, fly them out into the middle of a wilderness cabin lodge in the middle of Timbuk nowhere, have them build trails, build boats, learn solar panel installation, learn off-the-grid gardening, all that stuff, build hiking trails. This will rejuvenate their soul. They get so much from nature. The human microbiome is fed off of these plants. If you just walk by this stuff and you just touch this stuff, we don't see it. There's microbes going in the air. I breathe it in. This stuff has been proven to be more powerful than our most powerful drugs at fighting depression, fighting a lot of disease. You get so much from this beautiful nature, and having someone who's going through a strong addiction, something maybe derived from plants but is formulated into an easy, accessible thing for someone to get addicted to in society, they need the treatment of nature away from people where they can't harm people and they can be watched and nourished to regain the control in their life. I think that's the safest thing. That's the best thing. I'm not an expert on this topic, but that's my opinion. I think that would do wonders for people. Not only that, these people would have a sense of self-accomplishment and achievement. They could go back into society and start up businesses potentially doing this stuff, where they're doing solar installations, or maybe they're teaching people off-grid gardening, or whatever it may be. Maybe they go work for the trails department and build hiking trails. Maybe they do maintenance on radio towers deep in the bush. I see a lot of them. There's always radio repeaters out there. Someone's got to go up there, climb those things deep in the bush. Often there's no trails out to those places. These are opportunities that could come from this stuff, or whether they're building boats or if they're building log cabins. There's a lot of skills they could learn by doing this and getting them off of their hard candy. In my opinion, this is a no-brainer. I think this would be so much better for society versus having addicts on buses and in hospitals and in playgrounds, wreaking havoc to people who don't want to be anywhere near that stuff. If you told people 100 years ago, 50 years ago, even 10 years ago about what is going on in BC and what has been allowed, people would be appalled. But here we are, David Eby with his test project, which is absolutely failing, and which I think will be his ultimate downfall, and the BC Conservatives will take over here on October 24th, 2024. Vote for Conservatives and get the job done. Thanks for coming along here on this journey of the BC Conservatives and in the bush here. Be sure to subscribe here to my second channel as I cover other newsworthy topics, testing out different content. We'll keep fighting for freedom. We'll keep bringing you guys the truth. And now I have to try to figure out how to get out of here, because I don't even know where I am. This is my first time back here. Found my way out just in time. It's starting to get dark here. Check out this beautiful old growth with the vines on it right there. Big trees. Just an amazing forest out here. It's so nice. The air, just take a deep breath with me. Oh, fill your lungs with all that goodness. Fresh air of the forest, the moisture, the ferns, and a really epic BMX jump. Serious kicker on that one. Now we've got the tunnel of light down here all the way home. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.